Life is not a superhero movie, but all of us still have one superpower that we can use to transform our lives. So what is this superpower and how can we actually make the most out of it? That's what I'm going to be discussing in this video. Hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to learn more. So let's talk about the one thing that determines our success in anything. So what I'm basically talking about is how to use our mind to conquer pretty much anything that we want. And they're saying that success is a mindset game, but what does it mean? They're saying that, okay, success is who you are. So what does it exactly mean? It basically means that the success is not something that actually happens to us. Like someday we wake up and, wow, okay, we just became successful. We just had this event of success. No, it's actually highly subjective based on the person, because we cannot determine success as some kind of situation, like some kind of external situation, because what one person might think as success, then another person might not just consider as being really successful. So success is really about who we are and how to basically approach life. So it's basically building us these capabilities in making the most out of life. And blah blah da. This all sounds nice, but how to do it in practice? How can we actually become successful? How can we use our mind to really maximize things? Well, let's simplify things and let's just come up with 5-step system how we can use our mind for maximization and really optimize our life and optimize our life situations. Definitely the number one, and this is actually the most important thing. So if we don't do this, then good luck. Then it's only a matter of time when we find ourselves feeling like, okay, maybe we are unhappy, maybe we are depressed, maybe we are angry, maybe we are bored, maybe we are this and that. So number one thing is to take full responsibility for everything in our life. So this means that we don't find, we can find ourselves, we might sometimes find ourselves in very difficult life situations. So let's say that, okay, there might be some health issues that are severely limiting our life. But then it's a question of, okay, do we use it as an excuse, or do we actually take responsibility of this situation and say that, okay, we are sick right now. Let's just, make it work. Let's actually find the, find how to deal with this kind of life situation. And we are not going to blame any external factors for our situation. So the framework how to do this in life, it's just using this responsibility process by Christopher Avery. I've been talking about this for 6 years already or whatever. So if you have watched any material from me, I'm sure you're already familiar with it. So it has these different stages like obligations, aim, justify, lay blame, denial. So these are all steps that can actually happen before we take responsibility. But I'm not going to go in detail, but the point is that we actually intend to respond from the state of responsibility when things go wrong. And it's easy to be conscious. It's easy to be in a good mind when things are going well, when things are really taking off and stuff like that. But anyone can be a leader when things are going well. So it's more about what happens when things go wrong. What happens when we end up in situations that, okay, this is looking pretty bad. So what are we actually going to do about this? So it's about the intention and then this awareness that we catch ourselves in the coping state of sooner and sooner, meaning that, okay, I'm realized that I'm blaming someone about this situation. And I mean, that's a kind of a normal thing to feel sometimes that, okay, who can I blame for this? So it's the supplier. I mean, this is Amazon's fault. I mean, I'm going to blame them. And then basically confronting, like face yourself to see what is true that you can learn, correct, and improve. But I have to say that it goes without saying that negative self-talk is toxic. I mean, if we tell ourselves that we are really like dumb for doing this, and why did I do that mistake? Why did I screw it up? I always keep messing things up. I'm such a loser. I mean, if we talk like this to ourselves, then I mean, it's really bad. But then again, it's actually really important to allow ourselves all kinds of emotions. So it's much better that we just let's vent it out and then move on. So because I do mistakes all the time. And sometimes some of the mistakes might actually feel worse than others. For example, I have had like really big issues with this, like Facebook ad accounts, and we get a new one and it just keeps getting shut down, and it's really annoying. And I know that this same thing is happening with like many other like advertisers, and it's kind of like common thing right now. But I mean, I did get this like feeling of saying like, wow, I'm such a dumbass. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I get it wrong? Like, why can I get it like working? Like, what I'm such a dummy. So there's basically just two options. Either I try to deny myself from these emotions. And I mean, what do you think? Is it a good thing if we deny some emotions from ourselves? It's probably not a good thing. So it's much better that if I spend some time maximum 1 day, just basically just venting it all out and maybe feel sorry for myself and then just take responsibility that, okay, I mean, I messed up this thing, but okay, here's what I'm going to do in order to improve. So then we just move on and we don't get stuck in this state of shame. This is actually really important, and this will have a huge impact in people's life. I mean, for those people who are able to do this. So that means that we actually create space between our thoughts and reactions. So this means that we become become self-aware of our thoughts, because a thought is just a thought, and a thought is not who we are. A thought is, how we behave is not who we are. How we think, it's not who we are. I mean, it's basically just identification with those things. So if we are able to remove this identification with our thoughts, with our behaviors, with our actions, then, I mean, basically, who is left there? That's basically then who we are. And then if we are able to do this, then it's a really powerful thing. And I actually see this, like I've been teaching my daughter about this. Basically making her more self-conscious about her own thoughts. Because I mean, a small child, it doesn't. It can easily run into different tantrums and so on, and really like wants immediate gratification, all that stuff, like what children typically want. But if you are actually, like, I know this, like now she's already like able to tell that, I was really angry. I realized that I was probably pretty angry because I had been doing this or because I had been doing that. So she's able to like move beyond this identification of that I am this thought that just happened to me. So this can actually have a huge impact on the life of a person, because that means that, okay, let's say that you get depressing thoughts, but if you don't identify, I mean, there's basically two options. If you identify with those depressing thoughts and basically become depressed, or then you don't build this emotional connection, emotional like identification with those depressing thoughts, and then you just realize that, okay, these are just depressing thoughts, and then basically once those thoughts go over, then then something else pops up, because thoughts are just thoughts. Then step number 3, and this really depends on each person. So basically we need to find ways to spend more time in a state of calmness. And it's actually a bit related with the previous one, because if we are able to create this space within our thoughts and reactions, it might mean that someone does something that it makes us angry. But if we actually take a moment, if we just take a deep breath and think about it, then we don't act immediately, and instead we just take a moment there to think a bit, and then we are actually able to move beyond this. So this depends on you, and this depends on every single person separately. How can you spend more time in this state of calmness? And why do we want to do it? Because we want to do it because success comes from clarity, and creativity comes from calmness. And there's been many studies made about this creativity and innovation, and there's been many cases. There's one study that had all these different groups, and the task was that they had to come up with creative solutions, innovative solutions for some specific problems. So team A had this really calm and relaxing atmosphere, so to work on the task at hand. Whereas team B, had this really agitated atmosphere, where there was high pressure, there was high stress, and it was something for the team B, it was really difficult for them to come up with solutions, even for really simple problems. So creativity and innovation can really only come if we have this state of being relaxed and calm. So that's why we want to find many options. As we want to spend as much time in this state of calm as possible. Then step number 4 is that have big enough goals. Because if we do all the previous things, but our goal is just to survive, and just to get decent salary or whatever, then okay. You realize that you have, when you control your mind, you have basically this superpower. So why are you letting your superpower? Why are you not using your superpower? Then it's basically just waste of time. Why do we even have a superpower if we don't use it? So that's why we should have these big enough goals. And this book by David Schwartz, This Magic of Thinking Big, it's pretty good. It's kind of obvious stuff, but it has really interesting examples. It's basically made out of different examples happening with different people. So I just recommend to check it out. It's worth a listen or read, whichever you prefer. Then step number 5 is that, okay, fine, we have these big enough goals, but then we need to hold ourselves accountable in getting there. And that's, why we give you all sorts of systems about weekly planning and daily huddles and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, like the OKRs. Those are basically different things that will help us become more productive, more effective, and that's a way also to hold ourselves accountable. Okay, yeah, blah blah. Yeah, this all sounds nice, but I get it, I understand it, but most of the days I just feel tired and uninspired, and Yeah, my family life is really busy, and it's just really difficult to make this happen. I mean, I understand the concept, but yeah, I mean, most of the days, the time just goes quickly because I'm just feeling so tired, and when I'm tired, I'm not really uh, able to be creative, and I'm not really inspired about everything. Yeah, I mean, I get it. We need to help ourselves to get more energy and creativity. And this also depends on the person. Like, I mean, some people are more like high energy and low energy. I mean, there's some people are like Duracell bunnies, doing a million, like doing million things at the same time, like all the time. But I can tell you, like, and they have really have like high amount of energy. But I can tell you, like, personally, I'm more of a low energy type of guy. I don't have like massive amounts of energy. So that's why I need to find ways how to actually create more energy in my life and get this more, get really get this creativity for myself. Because if I don't have energy, I mean, it's pretty difficult to work, and then it's also difficult to come up with any kind of creative ideas. But I mean, of course, exercise will give us energy. So I mean, I've been doing this for some time already. I started like last year doing this like 1 hour walks in the morning, like every day. So that's basically how I start my mornings. So I just go outside to walk for 1 hour. And by the way, I can tell you that I have done this, for example, in Mexico, where it's like 35 degrees Celsius, or I also did it in like Estonia in November, where it's super cold and windy. And so, I mean, the weather doesn't matter. The thing is that we don't want to come up with excuses. Like, no, I mean, it would, of course, I mean, it would be nice to walk in the beach when it's not too hot and it's not too cold. It's just the perfect weather. But I mean, that's not the reality most of the time. So it's more about just making it happen. And what I do these during these walks, so it's basically a few different options. So most of the time I listen to audiobooks, but so basically it's an opportunity to study different things. So basically by doing this, you have an option to like opportunity to just study like 1 hour every morning. But I don't do it all the time because because this 1 hour work, it's also an opportunity to really clear up my mind, so I can just get more clarity on things. And this is not thinking time. This is actually the opposite. I mean, just getting rid of thoughts. It's possible to do this, for example, practicing this body consciousness. So what this means that you just basically take your focus into different parts of your body, meaning that, like, let's say that you put your hand on the table, and if you don't move at all, then how do you know that exists? Like, if you don't move your body part at all, then how do you know it exists? So the way to do it, I mean, is just to start asking yourself that, okay, how does my hand feel? How does my back feel? Like there's many areas of our bodies that we seldom touch, so they get any kind of touch movement. So it's good to consider, good to ask ourselves, like, how does this body part feel? And the more we do, the more I do this, the more able I'm actually, because this is basically one technique in order to bring myself into this like state of calmness and state of like really being relaxed and really being peaceful. So it's basically it's meditation. It's actually really beneficial, and and I mean, for me, because I've been doing it quite a bit, then I mean, I can do it in just a matter of seconds, and I'm already in that state of like I'm not feeling any stress or anything like this. Then additionally, when it comes to exercise, I mean, maybe doing this like workout program three times a week, but I mean, it's really important to listen to our bodies, so it's not too much. Like right now, I'm not doing any like workout program, but I will probably start in a few weeks. And I actually remember one time when in the Philippines, like my personal trainer, I mean, at that time, like he was doing such a like heavy work. He was doing such heavy workouts with me that like afterwards, I just didn't have energy to do anything. So that's definitely, I mean, when we go over the top, then it's kind of loses its point. It's not giving us energy; it's actually taking away energy from us. And yeah, Blaise Pascal said that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room. That's pretty spot on. And if we learn how to practice this body consciousness that I just mentioned, then we are able to actually meditate while walking, waiting on a queue, and so on. So we don't need to take specific time that, okay, here, now I'm going to sit down and meditate for 15 minutes or 1 hour or whatever. So if with this body consciousness, it's possible to do it anytime, anywhere. So that's brilliant, and that's why I love it. But anyway, so meditation, I mean, it's basically just one technique. Is just putting attention to our breathing to clear up our mind. Then nutrition, I mean, avoiding sugar and excessive salt, dairy products as smaller portions more regularly. And I mean, so many people talk about this intermittent fasting, but I've been reading about it, and some like so many people are doing this like 16 plus 8 and even longer hours. But I was reading about it that basically it's not good to do for longer periods. Like if you do it months and months, then it can actually have a like negative impact on your health. So but what's something that can be done every single day is having this like 12-hour of time window. So that means that, for example, you have breakfast at 8 a.m. and then we have no food in the evening after 8 p.m. Then sleep. I mean, just finding the right rhythm and length for ourselves. For example, I mean, Oura Ring keeps telling me that I should get 8.5 hours of sleep. Okay, fine. I can try it out. No issues there. But thing is that I need to be consistent, because if I sleep late during weekends or days, then it can actually create the same impact as having jet lag. So this means that we are just going to get more tired. So that's definitely not a good thing if we consider about increasing our energy levels. And I mean, also it means that, okay, no exercise meals or electronic devices for 2-3 hours before going to sleep. So that basically gives us some time just to calm down. And what I also do is that I usually read a book before sleeping. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes, but still, I mean, it's kind of a good habit. And yeah, I mean, the question is that, what kind of books? I mean, typically in the evenings, this is more about entertainment. So right now I'm just reading these, like all the biographies of different people, and sometimes I read about stuff about economics and so whatever. But I mean, it really depends. It's not really. It can be just entertainment. So point of this reading stuff is just to calm down. Then I mean, our mind is really a creative tool and loves to solve puzzles. But the thing is that we have to let it do that. We have to put it to work, because I mean, if we have this powerful tool, then I mean, it's kind of pointless if we don't use it, right? So I want to put my unconscious mind to work, and I can do this by asking myself questions before going to sleep. And then, I mean, actually regarding these questions, it's a good example that I mean, even these presentations, like I actually have a like backlog of different items, different presentation topics to do stuff. And my team even has like slides for some of those. And the next topic I had there was basically this inventory management. But yeah, I mean, yesterday I didn't feel like I want to talk about inventory management. So that yesterday evening I was just asking myself before sleep, but okay, what should I really talk about? And then I mean, this morning I already had this idea that actually this is actually a good topic, and here's what I should talk about. And boom, it's just like 15 minutes and the like presentation is done. So I mean, asking ourselves our mind questions like this, it's actually really powerful. And then I mean, this Brian Tracy technique, which means that we write our like maximum of 10 goals every day to like physical paper. I mean, that's a really useful technique, because whatever we write, I mean, these things come like popping up to our mind. Like I remember, like right now I haven't been doing this for some months, but when I'm actually doing it, then usually these goals is the last thing I think about. And if I wake up during the night, which is pretty rare, but anyway, if I wake up, then I immediately think about these goals. And when I wake up in the morning, then I immediately think about these goals again. So it's super powerful technique that this Brian Tracy has. But there's a YouTube video about it, so you can just check it out if that's something you want to do, but I definitely highly recommend doing it. Then, I mean, prioritization. Okay, we already have weekly plans and stuff like that, but we should think a bit that, okay, what's the number one thing I should do tomorrow that will actually move the needle? I don't want to have 15 different things. I just want to focus on the number one most important thing that I should do tomorrow. So think about this for a while in the evening, like when you're in bed. Then what it actually starts happening is that our mind is basically processing that stuff and coming up with different ideas related with this topic. And that means that when it's the next day, then we have already been putting like effort into this, and we have already put some things into this, so we are actually more like well equipped to execute it and get it done. And I mean, this also means saying no to most things. There's always a million things that we can do for our business, so we have to say no to most things. And then it's best to start with these biggest things that actually move the needle. And often it can also, I mean, it's more useful to start with fixing first the issues there are, I mean, fixing the problems, and only then afterwards, like, start thinking about different opportunities that there are. For example, like on Amazon, there's all the time new opportunities popping up. Like, it's funny, like previously, some weeks ago, I was talking about this TikTok stuff, and now Amazon just introduced their new feature that is basically integration with TikTok. So there's all the time new opportunities. So we don't want to run towards each new opportunity. I mean, we have to have focus, and that means saying no to majority of the things. It's much better to actually simplify.
If you like this video, then hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We also have a secret group where we are sharing tons of different information regarding selling online. So if you want to get access to this group, then just comment group and we will actually make sure to add you there. See you there.